everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about 8 Canadian knitting podcasts that I have been enjoying recently. It's kind of a short list. I know there's way more than 8 Canadian knitting podcasts out there, but these are the most recent podcast channels that I've been watching, I guess regularly for the last couple of months. So I just wanted to give a little bit of a highlight for these channels, and maybe you guys watch these channels, and maybe some of these will be new to you. As I think there's 2 on this list that I recently discovered in the last month. So hopefully maybe they'll be new to you too. But yeah, so let's get into it. I guess while I'm talking about these podcasts, I was actually gonna do a little bit of knitting on my Hitofude. I'm one repeat away from doing the whole folding, and I don't know. So there's some kind of magic that you do to connect all the to make the thing happen. Yeah. Anyways. Yeah, so I thought I'd just bring that here to work on while I'm talking about these podcasts. Okay, so the first one that I want to talk about is Kat Knits, and that is Kat, and she is actually kind of local to me. She's from Vancouver, BC, and yeah, I recently discovered her, I would say maybe it was earlier this month, so a couple weeks ago, and I watched her most recent episode where she has a knitting study that she's currently doing for her, I think it's her something to do with school in any case. But yeah, so she's got a knitting study that if you partake in the study and you submit your email address, you can enter to win one of, I think she's got 5 prizes. So you can go and check out her, I think it's her May video, or her most recent video, as when this goes up. I think it's her video for May, or was it April? Would be May, I would assume. Anyways, so some information on her channel is she started sometime just over a year or 2 ago. YouTube didn't give me the exact date, but it's probably somewhere between 2021 and 2022. And she uploads once a month for her knitting podcast. And you know what? I probably won't be knitting on this because I have all my notes written in my book here, and I keep referring to my notes because I wrote down quite a few notes on each of these podcasts. Anyways, I feel okay, I'm all over the place. Anyways, so Kat Knits on YouTube. She's from Vancouver, BC, and the other cool thing is she actually works at a yarn store as well, which is something, I mean, I've been fortunate enough to have worked at 2 different yarn stores, but also unfortunately, due to circumstances, both of those stores have closed, which kind of sucks, but I am very envious of those that get to work in a yarn shop, because it is, from my own experience, it's very, yeah, it's just the people that come into the shop are always so happy to be there, you know? It's not like certain retail stores where sometimes customers are just grumpy. Anyways, all that to say, I'm envious that she works at a yarn shop. But yeah, so her podcast, like I said, is pretty new to me. I only discovered her a couple weeks ago, and I caught up on some of her most recent podcast uploads of this year. So basically what she does is a monthly roundup video where she talks about all the projects that she worked in a month, in the previous month, and then what she's going to be knitting in the next month kind of thing. So it was really, I like that format where it's everything you've done in a month kind of thing, and that's kind of what I'm aiming to do, is 1 podcast a month, because I feel like seems like a pretty doable amount of time. Anyways, so that is my first Canadian podcast. The second one that I want to talk about is Rachel from Night Sky Knitting, and she is from Ontario, so she's back east. And I discovered her podcast, I would say it was like, I guess it would have been last year, because I think she started, what did I say? She's, okay, so according to YouTube, she started sometime in the last year, or just over a year ago, so sometime between 2021 and 2022. So I caught her podcast, I would say sometime in the summer of last year, or maybe it was like the early fall of last year. And I really enjoy her, the way she talks about her knits. I feel like she's very, like, not to say like people aren't honest about their knitting and stuff like that, but like when there's something that comes up that she's unsure of or doesn't like, she can articulate very well, how she feels about certain things, about the way about the way the knitting is working up for her, or like the pattern and stuff like that. So I feel like I really appreciate that sort of honesty. And yeah. um yeah, let's see what else I got here. So she does mostly podcast episodes, and she uploads, I would say, a couple of times. I went back and was looking at, like, how often videos are posted, and it looks like it's about, like, it's a couple of times a month, like maybe 2, sometimes 3 times a month, but generally I would say like 1 to 2 times a month. And she has, yeah, like I said, she has mostly podcast style, like the standard knitting podcast style episodes. But she has done a few like vlog style videos where, or like I think one of her most recent ones was like a knit and chat kind of thing. So I like, there's other types of videos on her channel as well outside of the knitting podcast. And then also, as of filming this, one of her recently she has mentioned that she might be changing her YouTube channel name, or like her name from Night Sky Knitting to something else. So as of filming this, she is currently still Night Sky Knitting on YouTube. So I think if I link her channel below, even if she changes it, it should still link. It should still link to her channel. But yeah, so that's number 2. Number 3, the third knitting podcast that I've been watching and have been for a while is A Stitch in Time, and that is Carol, and she's actually relatively more local to me because she's actually also from the Fraser Valley in BC. She's actually the next city over, which I thought was really cool. I actually saw her at Knit City, I think it was not last year, but the year before. I saw her from across the booth and I was like, oh, I should say hi, because I think it's so cool when it's like when you see someone. I mean, that was the first time I've seen someone in person that I watch on YouTube. So I went up to her and I said, oh, hey, you're Carol from Stitch in Time. I love your podcast. Yeah, so she was very, like, kind of like shocked, like, oh my gosh, someone like recognized me. I'm like, oh yeah, it's so cool. But yeah, so she's been consistently uploading. I would say, let's see, I think YouTube showed she's been uploading for 6 years at this point. So she started about 6 years ago, and she uploads about every 2 weeks. I think there's times where it feels like she uploads every week, unless something gets in the way. But she's been very consistent with uploading on a regular basis, and so it's really nice to see her projects throughout her episodes, like every week or so, to see the progress that she's made on her projects. And what else do I have written here? Yeah, so basically, like, one of my biggest notes here was that she's very consistent with her projects, and I feel like it's nice because I know with myself, I tend to start many projects and then I'll show them on my channel, on my podcast, and then some of them just kind of totally slip by and never be seen again. If they ever get seen again, it's usually like months later. And I really appreciate that Carol is very just diligent and very consistent with her projects. And I feel like she's very meticulous with, I think it's, especially when it comes to socks and like variegated yarns. If she doesn't like the way that the colors are knitting up, and she doesn't like the color pooling or whatever, she'll knit like a good amount of a sock and then decide, okay, no, it's not working out. And then she finds a way, either changing the stitch count or the needle size or even the pattern. Most recently, she ended up changing the pattern entirely, or she went with a different pattern entirely for a variegated yarn that she was using for a pair of socks. And I think it's really cool to see like that persistence in like wanting to make something work, and knowing, having the experience that she has with manipulating yarn, I guess, in that way. It really, yeah, it's just really interesting to see how she like manages that and like sticks with the project. So yeah, it's really, I find, yeah, her projects are really, like, I feel like, I think recently she just did a t-shirt, and the design on it has like a little bit of a lace up here. It's actually similar to a t-shirt that I just recently knit. And I just feel like the projects that she picks, the shawls, the socks, and like the shirts and sweaters that she picks are really, I think they're really nice. And I just enjoy watching her podcast. Very, very fun. And she also has a weaving loom. So she did have a couple of weaving segments on a couple of her podcasts like several months ago, or maybe it was like earlier this year or something. But yeah, she has a very calm demeanor. I just really enjoy watching her. The consistency is fabulous. But yeah, so that was A Stitch in Time on YouTube. And yeah, so that was, what did I say? 1, 2, that was the third one. So the fourth one is Korea Knits, and that is Erin. And she's from Ontario, so she's from back east as well. And I discovered her, I think it was like the week that she posted her first video, because I think she started, I want to say it was like in the fall of 2021. I'm not sure, but like whenever it was, I know I caught her very first episode, and I've been watching her ever since. And I find that she's very honest with her, I guess, like with her experience with knitting certain patterns or certain yarns, and like her opinions on certain things, I guess. I'm not sure how to explain it, but like she's very honest in how she feels a certain way about a certain thing. Like she'll say it, and I appreciate that. And she has been uploading, I'd say she uploads pretty regularly as well, like every 2 weeks or so. And on her channel, she has not only podcast style videos, but she does have a couple of like vlog style videos. And I think one of the biggest things, like my big star point on here was basically like, she is a master of thrifted yarn. She recently just did a video about thrifting, like going thrifting to several thrift stores, secondhand stores and stuff like that around Ontario, or like where the area that she lives in, Ontario. And she kind of like walked through her process of like what she looks for and like what kind of prices she's looking for. And like not only that, but I really appreciated, there was one, I think there was one thing that was one bag of wool that was a really good deal, but the fact that it wasn't a color that she would wear or that she thought that she would use, she had the ability to be like, you know what, like it's a good deal, but will I actually use this color? Like, will I actually wear this color, kind of thing. So I know for me, the one time I went to a thrift store, which was inspired by another podcast, but Erin definitely inspires me to go at least once a month just to check, because I have a couple of thrift stores around me, but only one of them actually has a yarn section. But yeah, it's like thrifting yarn is like, it's like a really great deal, but is it something that I'm going to wear? Like, is it a color that I'm really going to enjoy wearing, or can I make it for someone else? Anyways, so all that to say, Erin's channel, Korea Knits, is really, it's really fun to watch. And I find that she does a lot of test knitting as well. So it's really nice to see up and coming designs from, different designers. But I think specifically she does a lot of test knitting for Sari Nordland. At least from my memory, I'm pretty sure like she has quite a few that are Sari Nordland test knits. Sorry, I've got like fuzz on my nose. But yeah, so I do like following other knitters who are test knitting for different designers, because I like seeing those up and coming patterns. Like, oh, I'm like, you know, being inspired by like what to be looking forward to, kind of thing. Anyways, I think that, yeah, that's all I have to say on that one. So that was number 4. And number 5 is Knitting with Ev. And this one is, I think, also relatively new to me as well. I think I found Knitting with Ev and Cat Knits, I think, at the same time. I'm wondering if the YouTube algorithm was like, oh, here's some local YouTube channels to you that have something to do with knitting, because Ev is also from the Lower Mainland, so she lives in Vancouver, BC, and she started, she started uploading videos on YouTube last fall, and I only just discovered her a couple of weeks ago. But when I watched her, like the first video that I watched of hers had me hooked right away, and I went back and watched pretty much all the other videos that were within like the last 4 months, I would say. And she uploads pretty regularly as well, so like every 2 weeks or so. And she has a combination of like knitting podcast style videos and then also like vlog style videos. Her most recent video that I watched was kind of like a knit along, like knit along with me kind of thing, where she's working on a striped, it's not necessarily like a striped one-way card. I don't know how to describe it, but it's kind of like a retro style. I don't know. It's like, it's got I don't know how to describe it. It's like kind of squared off of like the corners, like L's, I guess. So like, yeah, I don't know how to describe it, but if I can, I'll be putting pictures in here if I can remember to do that. But anyway, so like her latest video was basically like, come with me as I work on this knitting. And so she filmed herself at various points in time over like, I think it was like a 2-week period, sometime like between somewhere in April to mid-May. She was recording, or like she filmed herself knitting certain parts of the pattern. And it was really fun to just kind of like sit and watch and like, you know, see how the pattern was working up and stuff like that. And then like at the beginning of the video, she took us like along with her to the yarn store, which was Wet Coast Wools, which I've only ever been to once, but it's a beautiful store. I'm so envious that she lives close enough to go there. But yeah, so yeah, she picked out the yarn and stuff like that. I think it was like 5 different colors and stuff. So it was like, I find those kind of videos really fun to watch. So if that's your thing, definitely check out Knitting with Ev. And I think, yeah, I just pretty much the point I put on here was overall she's very fun to watch and very vibrant, and I'm looking forward to seeing more from her. And yeah, so that is, when I say number 5. Okay, so number 6 is Knitting with Cat Hair, and that is Nikki, and she is from Ontario. And I discovered her, I want to say like, I would say a couple of years ago. She started podcasting, according to YouTube, roughly about like 3 years ago or so. And I'm pretty sure I found her like 2 years ago, maybe. And her basically, yeah, she's pretty regular with uploading as well, but she uploads about once every month. And when she does upload, or like when she does, upload a video, the knits that she's working on are very, I would say, what did I write here? I said, stunning knits, lace, cables, and color work, and that she chooses very intricate projects. One of the most recent ones that she did was a Marie Wallen, or I think she's got a Marie Wallen make along, or like knit along, where you can enter, like, she's got all the information on her page, but you can enter, I don't think you have to complete the project, but, or maybe it's like you have to complete it by August or something like that. But in any case, if you've never heard of Marie Wallen, I've never knit any of her patterns, but she does very, very intricate color work. Like it looks very fancy. Like the pictures that I've seen, and like especially like oh, I can't remember the name of the one that Nikki just recently finished. I say just recently. I think it was like a couple months ago at this point, but the color, like there's got to be like 12 colors or something. With the color work, you're only working, I think, two colors at a time, I think. But like there's so many different colors throughout the whole pattern. Anyways, on her most recent episode, Nikki was wearing a really stunning like lace and cable t-shirt that she had recently finished. And I think she'd been working on that for quite some time because I remember when she first started it, I think she's knitting it out of a cone of Holst garn, or it's a cone of something. My memories. I watch a lot of knitting podcasts, so a lot of the information on different podcasts tends to get a little bit like, oh, was it this person, or was it that person? Was it this yarn? Anyways, if you're interested in like watching or like seeing someone knitting like I guess like more long-term projects. I know like Nikki does some like smaller projects and stuff, but from my recollection, she seems to always have like at least one long-term intricate project, and it's really interesting to watch the process and like over the course of several months, seeing how a project comes together. Because I know like not everyone has like 12 hours a day to knit kind of thing. So it's nice to see like a more paced out time frame for knitting something or like completing a project. I know for me, I'm very driven to knit. I mean, like I'm very much a process knitter. I very much enjoy the process of knitting, but I'm also kind of like, oh, I want to finish this knit so I can move on to the next one and like enjoy the process of the next like the next project kind of thing. So anyways, yeah, so yes, if you're interested in like more like intricate knits and stuff like that, Nikki's got you covered. Okay, so I think I've got two more. So number 7 is called For the Fun of Knit, and that is run by Linda, and she's actually local to where I am right now, where I'm house sitting for my sister, and I actually got the pleasure of meeting Linda and her friends. I think it was last fall when I was staying here. We met there's like a cafe that's about a 10-minute walk from here, and I got to meet her and her friends with they have like a little knit and chat afternoon on like I think it was like the last Friday of the month or something like that. In any case, I just happened to be here when she put the post out on Instagram. Or no, so she mentioned it on her YouTube video. She's like, oh yeah, if you're in the area, come and stop by and say hi. And I was like, oh my gosh, I actually am going to be in the area. So I messaged her asking if it would be okay to come see, or like to come visit, come like have a coffee and chat and knit with them. She said, oh yeah, of course. She's got such a fun and vibrant personality. I just love, like, she just exudes like sunshine and just positivity, and I love it so much. So let's see, she uploads about once a month, and she started about 3 years ago. I think I discovered her podcast, I want to say like about 2 years ago. Because I think there was like a period of time where I was not rediscovering, but like discovering a bunch of new to me podcasts. And, oh, you know what it was? It was probably when I posted a video a couple of years ago asking for YouTube podcast recommendations from my viewers, and I got like, I would say like over 100 different oh my gosh, the words are escaping me. Like 100 comments of like all these different podcasts to watch. And so I remember I spent like a good month going through and like ticking off all the boxes. Like, oh yeah, let's check out this one. Let's check out that one. Check out that one. So I'm pretty sure that For the Fun of Knit was one of the ones that I discovered at that point in time. But yeah, she does podcast style videos. So like just your standard like finished objects, works in progress, and like and then she's got like a life chat section and stuff like that. But yeah, I pretty much put like a star here that says she's very fun. She's open and honest about the enjoyment and misadventures of knitting. So I think that's like one of the biggest things is I think it was last fall. Was it fall or maybe it was like in the fall? I think when Stephen West was doing his mystery knit along for the, oh my gosh, I can't remember the name of the shawl, but it had like you do these knit sections and then casting and binding off the stitches and then casting on stitches and then you like kind of loop the I guess like you loop the stripes all the way up kind of thing. And anyways, I don't remember the name of it, but she had picked her set of yarn for it, and she got through I think the whole first section and decided that she wasn't feeling it, she wasn't enjoying it. And you know what, it's like it's a lot of time that she spent to do that. Like that's many hours of work. But she was like, you know what, like it's just not me, it's just not, I'm not feeling it, I'm not enjoying it. It's like it's time to like just unravel it and change my colors. So she filmed a section on one of her videos of her tearing out or like undoing the entirety of that first section of the shawl. And then when she reknit the shawl in her new colors, she enjoyed, like, you know, she like enjoyed it so much more. So yeah, I think one of the things with her is that I love that she talks about like the misadventures in knitting, that like not in a bad way. It's just like, oh yeah, sometimes an oopsie happens, like something happens that's like, you know, you could look at it as a mistake or something, but like you can also be like, all right, well that happened and now what can I do to fix it? Or like, am I okay with, you know, I don't know, going along with the misadventure kind of thing. Anyway, so I just really love that. She's got such a fun and vibrant personality, and I always look forward to when she uploads videos. Like I said, I think it's at this point it's about once a month for her. Okay, and then number 8 is the last one on my list, and this one is High Fiber Knits, and that is Emily, and she is from Ontario. So I guess this entire list is like half of it is from BC and the other half is from Ontario. So I know there's like there's more people in other provinces that podcast for sure, and I think anyway, I'll get to that. Anyways, so Emily of High Fiber Knits is a really fun, like I find her videos to be very informative and very inspiring, and she started uploading about a year ago, or no, I guess it was like a year or two ago, sometime between 2021 and 2022. I found her, like, I think from her first or second video, and she does podcast style videos and vlogs, and also like inspiration and like style and inspiration sort of posts, or like videos where she talks about like trends in colors, in shapes, in like construction, and stuff like that. So if you're looking for like something to inspire like the season, like if you're looking for like a seasonal inspiration, like visual board kind of thing, like essentially she's got a couple of videos recently of like summer trends or spring trends and like color trends and style trends, like stuff like that. I find it's very, I don't know, I find it really fun to watch. Her podcast style videos where she talks about her knitting. She's very, what's the word? Concise with the things that she's knitting. I find that she offers a lot of valuable information on like her experience with knitting certain things and how she feels about certain wools or certain yarns, certain fibers, I should say. And I think one of her recent videos, she talked about how she has like summer tops that she's knit, but they're made out of not the best, like I would say like not the best for her and her like body temperature, I guess. Like, because I know for some people you could get away with wearing wool in the summer if it doesn't get like super duper hot kind of thing. Like here in BC, it gets hot and humid, and so like your skin is just constantly in a state of sweating. So wearing something that's wool or mohair or like certain fibers in general just don't mesh well with that kind of temperature, weather. Anyways, so like all that to say, in the video she was talking about how she liked the things that she knit for the summer, like tank tops or like camisoles and stuff like that, but she would choose a different fiber the next time she did it. And I find like that kind of information is really good. Like I said, it's gonna be different for everyone, but it's good to know like from someone else's perspective, like what they, it's almost like a review, excuse me, it's like a review of the yarn for that particular person, so you can like kind of take from that what you will, kind of thing. So anyways, I basically wrote down here is like she's great for inspiration and ideas for projects, because I think she also has like project idea videos where she'll list like, what was it, like 10 different summer tank tops or camisoles or something like that. But in any case, just like really fun to watch. I find she's really vibrant and just, yeah, I always enjoy watching her videos. But yeah, so that is my 8 Canadian knitting podcasts or knitting channels that I've been recently enjoying. Like I took like kind of a hiatus from like everything knitting over the winter. I stopped watching knitting podcasts or like knitting channels, and I just stopped the consuming knitting content entirely for a period of time because I just had so much other stuff going on. But in the recent months now, I guess like since I picked up my knitting again, I guess it was like in March, April, I've been going back and watching all my favorite podcasts. I mean, like I'm subscribed to a number of them, and I tend to, like, I always look forward, like every morning I refresh my subscriptions. I'm like, oh, has anyone uploaded today? Because I don't know, it's always fun to sit and watch, like to sit and knit on something and then watch and listen to what other people are knitting on and talking about in terms of like knitting content and stuff. So yeah, so hopefully you found some like inspiration, or I guess like maybe one of these 8 podcasts, or one of these 8 people that I've mentioned today, maybe they might be new to you. So I'll be linking all the channels down below, so you can go check out every podcast that I've mentioned. So to end this video, I want to put out a question to you guys, like who, let's see. Yeah, I would just say any podcast in general. Like what is one of your favorite, or like who are your top favorite podcast knitting content creators on YouTube right now? Leave, I guess, I don't know if you can like link their channel in a comment, but if you can't, just like tell me who on YouTube you're watching that you've been enjoying recently, who uploads knitting content, like knitting related content, whether it be podcast style videos or even like knitting tutorial videos or just inspiration videos, anything to do with knitting really, or like I guess like the fiber arts in general, because like I do dabble a little bit in crochet. I don't spin yarn and I don't weave, but those are still like interesting areas of the fiber arts community kind of thing. But yeah, so if you can leave a comment below of which podcasts or channels that you've been watching recently that you've been enjoying, I'd really appreciate that, because I'm always looking to add more channels to my subscription. Like I'm always looking to subscribe to more channels that are knitting related. That's what I meant to say. But yeah, so like I didn't put a single stitch on this thing. I was too busy talking with my hands. I don't know what it is. I just use my hands to talk a lot. I can't help it. Anyways, okay, so that's my list. 8 knitting podcasts, Canadian knitting podcasts that I've currently been enjoying. Let me know what yours are. Or I mean, you don't have to tell me 8 of them, but let me know which top 1 or 2 or 3 or however many you want to list. I'm not I don't mind. The more the merrier. Anyways, okay, I'm gonna stop rambling now. Yeah, so until next time, happy knitting. Bye.